Hello and welcome to our first Text Anywhere webinar. My name is James O'Hare and I'm the General Manager for Text Anywhere. We are delighted to bring you this webinar, and what we aim to achieve by the end is to give you practical examples of how businesses can enhance the customer experience all the way through the customer lifecycle, from acquiring new customers through to renewal stage. In terms of agenda for today's webinar, what I'm going to do is begin with a very short introduction on how important business messaging has become for businesses given the changes we have seen in the use of technology. I'll hand over to my colleague Warren DeLay, who is going to take you through how business messaging can be used for customer engagement, with particular reference on the impending global retail event happening at the end of this month. Of course, I'm talking about Black Friday. Finally, I'll hand over to our Future of Messaging Product Manager at Text Anywhere, Mike Power, who will take you through what is being dubbed SMS 2.0, which is, in other words, RCS. And he's going to take you through how massive technology change is going to affect businesses who want to engage with their customers. Okay, so let's begin with why messaging has become such an important part of the customer experience as we head into a new decade in only a few weeks' time. Now, huge changes in society have often been characterized as revolutions. So when we think about the Industrial Revolution or the Steam Revolution, and usually what it characterized is that it's a huge leap forward in technology which has made a significant difference to society. And as I've outlined here on this particular diagram, as we move through those huge changes in society, what we've noticed here at Text Anywhere is that alongside of those changes, such as the Steam Revolution or the Industrial Revolution, there was also a huge change in the way that we communicate with one another. So if I walk you through this time travel, if you like, we can see that in the Steam Revolution, was in the 1600s, we had mail for the first time. 2 centuries later, just towards the end of the Industrial Revolution, of course, we had the telephone, and then a century later we had the computing revolution, which brought with it email, and then only 20 or 30 years later we had the mobile revolution, which was the widespread mass availability of mobile communication, which of course brought with it 2 channels in one. You had a mobile telephone as well as a landline, but you also then had text as a means of communication. I don't know whether any of you have spotted that. Nokia 3310 was my first mobile. And through to now, we've actually got a huge change in the way that we've been communicating with one another, which is messaging. And so when you think about things like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Instagram messages, we can see that now we are communicating in a way that we've never communicated before. I think I've recently seen a stat that 2 out of 3 25 to 35-year-olds do not use their telephone for a phone call in a single week, which is an incredible stat. And this last evolution regarding messaging has made a huge difference to communication. And SMS, of course, has become a key part of that type of messaging. And why is that? Well, we believe that SMS has now become the de facto method of communicating with your friends and family. Think about the way that you communicate with your friends and family. I'm almost certain it starts with a message, whether that's on WhatsApp or whether that's on SMS. And now the stats, as we've got here on screen, prove how important it's become for businesses. With 5 billion users, it's the world's biggest inbox, with an incredible 98% open rate, which when compared to 20% on email, is an absolutely incredible number. 90% of those, 98% read, open within 3 minutes. And what essentially means you can get instant engagement with customers. And it is a channel which has the potential to increase engagement across the whole customer lifecycle. I'm sure every industry will have some form of this diagram: acquiring new customers, onboarding them, service messages through to retention and loyalty. And what we're seeing, and what we have seen over the past few years, is how examples of business messaging can be tailored to each part of this customer lifecycle to enhance each customer touchpoint, to ensure that you're providing the best possible customer experience for your consumers. And before we move on to the next section with Warren, what I thought I'd do is just touch on a couple of great case studies which centre on a part of this particular life cycle. The first one is marketing. So you want to acquire new customers, and it's vital for any business. And one of our SME customers, Moy Furniture, used SMS marketing with a really simple landing page as above, and it recouped a significant return on investment for that particular campaign. Moving through the life cycle onto collections, we've got a fantastic case study for Cash for You Now, which is a loans provider, and they wanted to give the opportunity to customers to self-serve to pay their own their debt instalments. And so they gave their opportunity to self-serve that debt repayment and implemented an SMS with a payment option to brilliant effect. They had an amazing 65% click-through rate, making sure that those customers who needed to make a payment on their debt could. And this had a real impact also on how to treat customers fairly within the financial services sector by giving them a discreet method of paying their debt, as opposed to asking them to phone in or worse still, phoning them to gain that debt repayment. A self-serve messaging solution for collections has resulted in a huge success for this particular customer. Okay, so to push on the further applications in marketing, I will now hand you over to Warren DeLay, who is going to outline how messaging can be used for Black Friday.
Thanks, James. So yeah, my name is Warren DeLay and I'm the Product Marketing Manager here at Text Anywhere, and I'll be talking us through SMS solutions for the retail industry and specifically how they can be used for Black Friday. So first of all, just to recap, what is Black Friday? Well, it was first brought to our shores in the UK by Amazon way back in 2010 as a way to generate buzz around certain sales and promotions. It's really taken off in the UK with a reported 1.23 billion spent over the course of Black Friday weekend last year. The sales increase compared to a normal like-for-like day is an impressive 1,708%. And perhaps most interestingly from an SMS point of view is that 76% of online traffic for Black Friday last year came from mobile devices. So why is Black Friday such a huge opportunity for retailers? Well, the simple answer to that is that as Black Friday becomes more recognised and anticipated by consumers, they'll also start to look forward to it more and anticipate purchasing opportunities much in the same way as they've been doing with Christmas and the New Year sales that follow it. Retailers can help this process along on its way by prepping audiences and building anticipation by sending out effective, targeted digital communications beforehand. These particular wheels have already started to turn with the email stats for last year's event, showing that a staggering 3 billion communications were actually sent to promote it. So how about SMS, and why does that work so well? Well, for starters, SMS has a 32% conversion rate in the retail sector, compared to 3.26 for email. And 90% of all SMS are read within 3 minutes, meaning that your campaign is more likely to see effective returns at the times you want to see them. And perhaps most interestingly, when retailers send codes or vouchers to consumers, they're actually 10 times more likely to use it than they would be if they received it through print. So do SMS communications actually work in the context of Black Friday? Well, let's talk you through one of our customers, a customer called 4-Star Pizza, who used SMS back in conjunction with our SMS landing page solution to promote pizza sales at last year's Black Friday event. So first of all, the customer was sent an introductory SMS which gave some high-level details about the offer and also a preview image which linked to the SMS landing page. After selecting the preview image, the recipient would be taken straight through to the SMS landing page, which put in basic terms is a mobile optimized web page, which removes the distractions of a conventional web page and in turn increases conversions. At the bottom of the landing page were two options. One, to order online, so when the customer selects that option they're taken through to the website where they could detail what they'd like, and another option to call in an order, which when selected would automatically initiate a call with 4-Star. So did this particular campaign work? Well, 4-Star reported to us that they'd seen a 30% uplift in sales and that the only problems that they had with the campaign was that the staff who made the pizzas couldn't actually keep up with the demand. So in short, yes, we're pretty confident it worked. So aside from your more straightforward promotional messages, is there anything else that SMS can be used for in the context of retail? The short answer is yes, and the first way is in regards to cross-sales. So to start with, take a look at the message on the far left hand side of the screen. The customer has completed a previous purchase, and to entice them into making a further purchase, we're suggesting another product to them, which we, as the retailer, think would go perfectly with it. As an added bonus and further enticement, we're even offering them discount as part of this additional item. The message in the middle is so simple but outrageously effective in some cases. So let's imagine that someone has got part of the way through a purchase but not completed it for whatever reason. All we're doing here, as long as we have their customer details on file, i.e. their phone number, is to send them a text to let them know that their purchase isn't complete, and where appropriate, we can even offer them an appropriate discount just to give them a little shove that they might need to get them over the line and get that purchase completed. The message on the far right hand side of the screen is just offering some options for home delivery on a purchase that's been made. In a rather tongue-in-cheek way, Black Friday was nicknamed by some retailers as Black and Blue Friday last year due to some of the raucous scenes that were seen in some stores. And as a way of avoiding that, this particular message is playing a little bit on that and offering home delivery. You can also just see below it that there's an order confirmation message, just to provide the customer with the peace of mind that their order has been received and it's on its way. And just a few more examples here, but these are more for general retail instances, not just Black Friday. So the example on the left here is showing a reminder that an order has arrived in store and is available for pickup. This can be especially helpful for retailers who don't want their storage facilities to get backed up with items that have already been paid for and could be with the customer already. The message in the middle shows an invitation to a launch event where a customer can get excited about a fantastic new product that's being launched. So imagine that the latest piece of tech or even a new car perhaps. And of course you can offer a one-day discount, which is sure to get more people to your event and increase on the day sales. The example on the far right is something that we've seen many retailers have success with, which is an opt-in loyalty program. Customers text in a particular word to a specific number, and as a reward they're offered special discounts and updates which won't be received by any other customers who aren't part of the loyalty program. So as we've seen so far, SMS is a great way to send marketing communications out in the retail sector. But are there any other ways that the humble text message can help us? Well, the answer to that is yes, and that's where SMS surveys come into play as a great way to optimise customer engagement. So as we've said already, SMS marketing is wonderful, but getting customers in store and purchasing online via mobile is only part of the story. What happens after, and how can retailers nurture that customer, ensure that their experience is a positive one and keep them loyal, considering your brand for Christmas and beyond? According to Forbes, customer engagement is the direct route to every important business objective. It's the pathway to everything good that a business could want. We can also safely assume that when you engage with your customers, you draw them closer to your brand, your business, your organisation, and with more touch points than ever before, it's never been more important to engage with customers to ensure their customer experience is a positive one throughout the customer lifecycle. And as we can just see on screen here, there are a few byproducts of having a great and continual customer engagement. Another benefit of SMS surveys is that they profit from high conversion rates as they are convenient for users, and you also find that they receive their most honest answers. Consumers may shy away from particular topics if asked face-to-face or even over the phone. So SMS surveys are actually a proven way to increase customer engagement. But what are the most important things to bear in mind when creating them to ensure that we're leveraging the most engagement from customers that we possibly can be? Well, the first and perhaps most important point is to clearly introduce yourself and why you're conducting the survey. You'd be surprised by the number of surveys that we see that have completely lost an audience simply because the context of the interaction hadn't been properly explained. The second thing to remember is to keep it short. Somewhere between 3 and 5 questions is going to be your sweet spot. Any more than that and you'll most likely notice that your engagement starts to take a nosedive. Point 3 is that personalisation makes a massive difference in getting good quality engagement back. Including the customer's name is a good start, but try to include other details too which make it more relevant to them. Purchase history is a good bet in being able to do this. Point 4 is timing, which is critical. Don't leave it too long, or the customer experience won't be fresh enough in their memory. The time of day the survey is sent is hugely important too. Try sending it at lunchtime when you know your customer is more likely to have a moment or two to spare. Point 5 is to remember to properly label your scaled questions. If asking your customers to rate your service from 0 to 5, let's say, explain that 5's good and that 0 is bad. It might sound like an obvious thing to say, but we've seen plenty of instances of feedback data becoming skewed because of improper labelling. Point 6 is to consider whether you need a branched or linear survey. Linear surveys are a series of chronological questions where every recipient will be asked the same questions. Branched surveys, on the other hand, take the responder's previous answer into account and then send a follow-on question based on that response. For example, if you'd like customer feedback on a particular purchase, you might set up a branch logic to show different questions and responses based on their satisfaction score of the product. Individuals that respond with a satisfaction score of 3 out of 10 can be asked how their experience could be improved, whilst those that scored their satisfaction as 10 out of 10 can simply be thanked. So that's everything from me now. I'll now hand you back to James.
Thanks, Roy. Okay, let's move on. The next particular part of this webinar was going to be looking at the evolution of SMS, which is including RCS, which I'm sure Mike is just about to tell you stands for Rich Communication Services. I'll hand over to you, Mike.
Thanks for that, James. My name's Michael Power. I'm a product manager here at Text Anywhere, looking at future messaging, so channels like WhatsApp, channels like RCS and Apple Business Chat, and really the impact that they're going to have on anyone that's using SMS today. So this section is going to be looking at how you can take your SMS campaign and basically energize that with channels such as RCS and WhatsApp. So let's have a look at why these new channels really are starting to have an impact. So we all know, and we've been talking today about how SMS is a great channel and the reach that it's got, the impact that it can have on your business. But there are a few areas where it can be better, and where some of the newer channels now are actually starting to give us some options, such as verification. So for anyone that's got a use case or a customer base where perhaps sending them a link can be a challenge. So financial sector is a clear sector where customers can end up not trusting links or shouldn't trust links. So being able to have a verified brand presence on the channels, so that's where it has that little tick up in the corner. Channels such as WhatsApp support this, RCS. What we're looking for here is creating that consumer trust in the brand and the channel that you're talking to them on. And that also comes along with branding and the ability for the customer to control how their messaging works in that channel, so perhaps controlling notifications. Rich content is another area where SMS, although it's great for text, it's not so great for things like photographs, videos, PDF attachments. They're all, you have to link out to perhaps a website to support them. But the new channels, obviously it's all in line, so anyone that's used WhatsApp to speak to their friends and family will be very familiar with that type of concept. Ultimately as well, we're looking at improving engagement, so understanding when someone's replied to you and being able to spark up a conversation with them, being able to provide suggested replies and actions to link out perhaps to maps, to put appointments in calendars, all those sorts of things. And that's all supports the AI and the bot approach that's starting to have an impact now on specifically on customer care around things like call deflection and again conversational commerce use cases. And ultimately what we're looking for with this is better metrics, to be able to understand our customer use and interaction with SMS better, being able to understand when they've actually read the message and perhaps fire that next message off immediately on it being read rather than just delivered like you would get with SMS. Again, gives loads of options for marketing and setting up some pretty clever marketing campaigns to consumers. And ultimately what we're looking for with all of these new channels, so with RCS, WhatsApp, Apple Business Chat, it's all about creating a better experience for the end customer. So whether your use case is perhaps a taxi and getting that directions to where for the taxi driver to find you, so just being able to send your location to the taxi company. Appointments, here again you can see another use case for around dental appointments and being able to make sure that appointment isn't missed. So again, that's where the real value is for the dental practice in that scenario, is making sure that the person actually makes it to the appointment. No-shows being quite an expensive side effect of anyone that has to drive regular appointments within their business. And also upsell and cross-sell opportunities. So perhaps in a traditional commerce scenario, You could provide a cross-sell into similar products on someone that places an order. So again, it gives you some really smart upsell and cross-sell opportunities by using rich media in these new channels. But with all the new channels, there is a risk that your consumer or the customer you're trying to interact with doesn't perhaps have that app installed. So if you're using WhatsApp, maybe they've not got WhatsApp installed. Facebook Messenger, again, has a similar challenge. If they're not on Apple, then again, there's no point using Apple Business Chat. So what we do within our platform is we make sure that we've got a single place for you to be able to create your content. And then we'll try all of the different channels that you want us to try and interact with your customers on, but ultimately we can always fall back to an SMS. And with SMS, what we've done is we've enriched that to ensure that it does support all of the same functionality that we give access to in the other channels. So whether that's an image or a video, rich cards, again, we also have an SMS fallback for that. So ultimately, we're making sure that we maintain that 100% reach, even on channels that right now today perhaps don't come close to that for customer engagement. So let's take a closer look at one of the channels that we'll be supporting, and that's RCS. And we want to use RCS really because it's the closest replacement to SMS for all of the use cases that you have today. Again, they'll all be supported on RCS. It also has probably the best set of features of all the new channels. It's one of its challenges is reach, but again, that's something that will change over time as more handsets become RCS enabled. But we just want to talk to you about some of these features. So as we mentioned before, verified sender, you can see the little shield at the top there that indicates to the consumer that this is a verified brand, and they can click through and find out what that means if they want. You get all the branding and colors and logos, all of those sorts of things that you would expect now to be able to maintain that brand presence. Rich media, so as all the things that we mentioned before around images and videos, we can include QR codes, so whether it's tickets or, like in this case, it's a money off voucher. But the really valuable piece on this is the suggested replies and actions. So this is where you can make it really easy for a customer to just click a button and be able to progress their engagement, their interaction with your brand without them needing to type. So it really does create that app-like environment for your customers to be able to find out more information, save things to their calendar, really interact with your brand without needing to do much to make that happen. So RCS is a really valuable channel, and it is one that we are very happy to talk to you about today. Again, you just have a chat with your account manager if you want to find out more about how you can start using RCS. But with all these channels, it's all good and well, we're having all these features, but how do you take your brand from where you are today with SMS, and how do you start including these business cases to have this extra functionality? What we've found is with a number of our customers is that there's a pretty straightforward three-step approach to this, and most of our customers are doing step one already, which they'll be using SMS for their appointments, for advertising and so forth. And obviously this is an area where it's part of what anyone working with us today will be doing already, but it's an area where it's looking at those use cases and identifying the ones which are most suitable for moving over to richer messaging. So that's where we then got our next couple of steps. So step two is now including rich media and things like RCS, using RCS specifically. And from here you can now see on the message on the right hand side in the center there. From there you can see from the message in the middle how that renders via RCS. So we've got a doctor's appointment with a location. We can see that we can add that into our calendar, or even call the medical center to perhaps rebook our appointment. On the left, you've got the SMS fallback version of that. What you can see there is effectively a preview image. So we're able to add preview images and again improve that SMS experience for customers that don't have an RCS-enabled phone. And when you actually then go and add that into your appointment, you can see that just puts it straight into the diary. And via the SMS fallback, again, when that link is clicked, that preview, we render the same rich card effectively and give the customer the same experience that they would have had on the RCS channel. So again, we're trying to make sure that the customer's got the same experience regardless of channel, or certainly the best experience that we can provide for that medium. Then we move on to step 3. And basically what we find is by doing step 2, most of our customers can do that today just by taking their existing use cases, adding the imagery, whether it's from Facebook or from their website. So again, using existing imagery that they've got in their business. And what that does is that enables us to then start talking to them about more complex. And this is where bots or messaging experiences come into play. And here you can see we've now taken that same use case, so the doctor's appointment, where we've got the ability to go in and talk to the surgery to perhaps change the appointment, add it to the calendar, but we've also now added an option for change appointment, and this is where the consumer can actually go in and change the appointment without having to ring the surgery at all. So this is where we're now starting to integrate with calendars, with other systems, and ultimately it's now takes a job away from someone that otherwise would have had to man a phone that morning. So again, really, really important step, but one that most brands aren't able to move straight towards because the systems would need to be there to enable this. But everyone can move towards step 2 with all of their existing SMS use cases. But the key thing with all bots is that they can only go so far, and this is really where I'll wrap up on this today, which is you've got to have a good human interaction, a way to fall back. And so with all of our systems, however clever we try to make the bots, however far we go with that automation, we'll always make sure that there's a good route for a consumer to be able to speak to a real person when they want to. And that's using, again, our own conversational products where we can hand over from the bots to a human. Then that makes sure that the human can see the context, they can reply appropriately to that customer, and then at the point where they're finished, where they've resolved the problem that was there, they can then hand the consumer back over to a bot again to continue the automation, and again really make sure that we're only using people to answer the queries that they need to answer. And really what we're finding with a lot of our use cases, if you look at a lot of the forecasts within the industry, they're all indicating that conversational commerce really is going to be the driving factor behind business messaging and how brands interact with their customers most effectively over the coming years. So I'll just hand back over to James now, who will summarise all the different things we've covered in the webinar today.
Thanks, Mike. And thanks to you, everybody. We're now going to come to the conclusion of the webinar, and what we wanted to say here is that what we hope to achieve by the end of this webinar is that we can show you how business messaging can be applied to each part of the customer lifecycle. So much so, what we'd like to do is offer the opportunity for any of the webinar listeners to get in touch to organise a free customer journey audit. Now, this usually is worth £1,000, and it's where we would come on site to your organisation and we would understand every part of your customer journey, all the way from acquisition through to renewal and retention. And we would pick out every customer touch point and provide best practice, advice and guidance on how messaging can be used to increase customer engagement and improve the customer experience more generally. If any of those would like to take advantage of that offer, please email through to sales@textanywhere.net. And hopefully we'll be in touch soon. Now, the eagle-eyed among you perhaps have also noticed throughout this presentation we've been showcasing to you a sneak preview of our new Text Anywhere branding. So hopefully we'll be able to share some more news with you on that as and when we come to it early in the new year. Thank you.